What up, guys? What up, what up, what up, people? What's going on, fam? Thanks for taking some time to join another day of our live streams. Can you all hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me all right. Give me some thumbs up if you guys can hear me good. As you all start to just jump on. What's up, Alicia? What's going on, Madeline Evan? What's good, Tommy? Let's do this. Let's go. We got someone powerful. David Meltzer is going to be joining us. I'm super stoked about him. Really respect his hustle. He is on a journey of impacting 1 billion lives to make them happy. He's a 3-time international best-selling author. He is also has a top entrepreneur podcast that is called The Playbook that I love as a fellow entrepreneur. He also is the co-founder of Sports One Marketing and was the CEO of one of the most famous sports and entertainment agencies in the world from the movie Jerry Maguire that came out. So I'm really excited about him. We've crossed paths multiple different times. We're going to talk about all things entrepreneurship, consistency, productivity. I want to hear a little bit more about his story. He has a really unbelievable story that I started seeing on the London Reel. And just really kind of get into all of his different business principles, leadership principles. So let's see if he's on here yet. Let me see if David's on here. Okay, cool. Not yet, guys. So the way that this goes is comment your questions. I'm going to go back and forth with David, and then I'm going to start taking your guys' questions. So comment your questions, and then I'll pull them up on the screen and then just start to kick it with you guys and just answering all of your questions. And we'll just go all in on entrepreneurship. So I really appreciate you guys jumping on. What's good, Jeff? What's happening? Let's see here. I don't see him just yet. Let me see. Can you guys just double check to see if he is live on his? Can one of you just jump off and just check to see is David live on his account? Because this has happened once before where we get the mix up and maybe he thinks I'm jumping on his account, which is totally fine. We can all hop over there. But can someone just go definitely check out and let me know? Actually, I actually have one contact in. That's why that is called transitions from AccuView. Let's see. Let me see. Oh, okay, cool. Jake here from David's team. All right, cool. So David is joining us, so he'll be joining shortly, guys. So what are some questions that you guys have just in regards to entrepreneurship, leadership? I really want to talk to him about this concept of conscious to subconscious to unconscious. I want to talk to him about how we can, we can be more consistent and create exponential growth. I want to talk to him about investing. I know he's an investor. What is his relationship with money and his relationship with time? I want to talk about the period of his life between like 32 and 35. It was a really pivotal moment in his life, which is that's where I'm at in my life, that age. So it's been pivotal in mine as well. Just waking up and really understanding and defining a new definition of success for me. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, if you're joining, who are my day ones that are... So he's on his account. Okay, cool. I wonder if I should just go and join over there. David is on here. Okay, cool. David joined. Dope. I'm hearing both. Oh, okay, cool. There he is. So let's bring him on and then get into it. I'll be repurposing this cast. So if you guys are listening on the podcast, welcome. We have David Meltzer. Again, this is an unbelievable entrepreneur. So grateful to have you on here, Dave. I loved your latest book. You've had 3 international best-selling books, one of the best podcasts that I listened to, The Playbook. The fact that you were the CEO of one of the greatest agencies on earth that came out with a movie, Jerry Maguire. And just brought more than anything, I just respect your leadership and how you show up in the world every single day. It's something that, I'm committed to. So seeing someone that I can admire and look up to that also shows up every day to help people to really find happiness, to define success in their own life. You know, you're on track to reach 1 billion people to make them happy, man. And I really respect that goal. So thanks for joining, bro.
All that said, I could barely get on your live, man. I apologize. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened.
All good. I didn't know if maybe, you know, you wanted me to jump on yours or if
No,
there was
yeah,
confusion there. So we got to do that too, man. I would love to jump onto your community and serve and be there for your community. But
anytime.
thank you. Thank you so much for taking some time. We've bumped into each other, you know, a couple of different times. Once when we were both going to interview Aubrey Marcus in Austin. Another time when I was in San Diego and you were walking with your family, which I
Yeah,
thought was really cool. So I was right when you just came back from the Super Bowl. That must have been cool.
right before the quarantine, and it was great to see you. And I, just so blessed to have this platform as well, because I'm so proud of you, man. You're doing so much, to help other people, and it's rare. A lot of young people just, I think, are trying to just struggle for themselves, and you're able to take it to the next level to not only provide for yourself but for so many other people and inspiring them. And reading those books is a great step to doing great things. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting. I actually, for the majority of my entrepreneurial career, David, I'm going on 18 years now. I dropped out my first semester in college. It's been an unbelievable journey, but I never leveraged books ever because I didn't feel smart enough growing up. So like everything was from learning from mentors and real world experience and failing, really. That was like my school was like taking risk, you know, getting my hands dirty, learning from mistakes, and in building relationships like this and learning from you. It's just over the last, I would say, like 4 or 5 years that I really started going more all in at reading and even being excited to write my first book. So I'm excited for you, man, to learn from you today, though.
Yeah, it's great. It's funny because 18 years, no matter what age you are, I always say your overnight successes happen in 17 and a half years. I think that's the average of an overnight success. It takes 10 years to get to 25% of the way there. And then literally 99% of the people listen to other people and they quit. And then about 5 years it takes to get to the next 25%, and 99% of those people quit. Then 2.5 years after that, where you're at right now, you get to 100%. And more than ever, I think it's important for people to understand that kind of persistent, consistent pursuit of what you want. That you got the bumps and the bruises and the lessons,
Yeah,
and that's the fun stuff. But I think too many young entrepreneurs, they look at the anomalies just like athletes do. You can look
right.
at LeBron all you want, but LeBron's one in a billion, right? He was
Yeah,
born with talent. You don't just go from high school to the NBA. And yeah, there's a few entrepreneurs out there that raised a lot of money and had great success, but they're just like LeBron James. But more people are out there that started when they were 5 years old practicing, and they keep practicing and practicing and practicing, and then they finally get their break. That's the story of a true entrepreneurial journey and of a life journey about trying to pursue your potential.
yeah. I call it like the leadership journey. It's been like my leader's journey. Like I've been thinking about, you know, we think about like the hero's journey as well. But, you know, you bring up athletes, and I know that that's something that you're really passionate about. You have worked with and met and surrounded yourself with some of the greatest athletes in history. Michael Jordan just came, there's that documentary that just came out. I've been so busy, I haven't watched it, but I'm like, I can't wait to watch it. And last night I was just like going on a little bit of an Insta story rant, posting stuff, and I posted a couple things from Michael Jordan, and it reminded me because he had a quote about the fact that he's taken 9,000 shots, missed so many. You know, we remember those game-winning shots, but he was like admitting to all the times he actually has missed that got him to those to get those championship rings. What are some of the things that, you know, it could be Michael Jordan or it could be another athlete that you really admire, but like that has gotten them to have that championship mindset and to be able to actually create that kind of winning mentality?
The Mamba mentality, as you call it, always is in the common denominator. People like you, in all businesses, executives, entertainers, athletes, they have a must be what they can be attitude. And that must be what you can be allows you to keep on taking those shots, regardless of what success or failures you have. One thing that comes to mind is probably a little different than what most people think, but it's Kobe Bryant with that Mamba attitude. My favorite story about Kobe Bryant is that when I was interviewing him, he told me that he and I shared the same favorite movie, which isn't Jerry Maguire, by the way. It's Rudy. And,
Right.
for me, it's obvious that Rudy would be, I'm built like Rudy. I played college football. It's probably the closest I've come to my potential because I have no talent at all. But I couldn't understand how Kobe Bryant's favorite movie would be Rudy. I'm like, you're not an underdog. Like,
Right.
you're like Kobe. You're Kobe since the 8th grade. Everybody knew you were amazing. You didn't have no Rudy. You could have went to any college you want. You went to the pros instead. He said, no, but Rudy, that movie made me. And I said, why is that? He said, because every time I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing to reach my potential, every time I thought I was good enough, every time, I was taking the easier way, my dad would hand me that DVD and say, watch this. Watch this.
Wow.
Be grateful for what you've been born with, and you better utilize it. And took a whole different meaning to the movie. And I think everybody should take that perspective that, look, watch this movie and think about what God has given you, or whoever you believe in, or whatever you believe in. Everybody has superpowers.
Yeah.
If you don't feel you have a superpower, then move yourself to a different place where your superpower is a superpower. But once you know your superpower, then go ahead and live to your potential of that superpower. Live to your potential, and you must wake up every morning, regardless of what's going on outside, and live your life that you must be what you can be. You must be your best.
Yeah, I love that, bro. That's super powerful. And like I always would say, I can, I will, and then I added the I must, right? The I can, I will, I
Now,
must.
I'll add one more, man. It's done. Because
It's done.
time is
Nice.
on a
I
vertical.
like
It's done. It's done. It's done. I'll tell you, I can. I must. It's done. It already happened. I just have to make it happen. Allow it to happen.
I love that. That kind of plays into this concept that I wanted you to kind of just talk to me a little bit about. Because for instance, consciousness, right? It's huge now, right? It's actually, this quarantine itself has like raised consciousness around the globe, and it's like accelerating all of our internal growth, spiritually, mentally, physically, in all areas. But you talk about the conscious to subconscious to unconscious mind. So, can you explain that and how that leads to like that quantum growth?
Yeah, so that's the continuum that I started working with to understand how do we expand, how do we accelerate, how do we improve. The first thing is to understand the conscious is reliant upon our cellular memory. And the cellular memory is really stupid. It's a short-term memory, so it needs repetition. So if you think, running a marathon on Saturdays is going to affect your life, if that's all you do, you're much better running 2 miles a day than running a marathon on Saturday. I promise you. Because of the way the cellular memory works, it's taking the input every day, and it needs to be reminded the next day and the next day in order for it to communicate with your subconscious. So 10,000 new data inputs or thoughts a day, they're determinative upon our stupid senses, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, and your touch. They are not accurate. And then it relies on your memory. That's not accurate. So through the repetition, you start getting stable data. That stable data goes to the subconscious, which now has about 40,000 of these intermediary thoughts. And the more you access them, the more impact it has on two things. One, the neural pathways that are formed. So those are habits or disciplines or efficiencies. I like to call it habits and disciplines efficiencies. And then that's also determined on what you call on a memory, the unconscious competency. And why I say it's important is you have to look at least 4 generations back to your great-grandparents, grandparents, and parents, because some people that don't understand this consistent behavior would say, oh, I smoke. How come I can't quit smoking after 21 days? Why do I still feel like I want it? And then other people can quit smoking in 1 day. It's because genetically you're programmed, right? That's why alcoholics have alcoholic children more percentage-wise than not. So if you know your genetics, you know that it's going to take you longer or less time, more focus or less focus in order to effectuate the continuum. Why the continuum is so important, though, is if you keep accessing the right subconscious thoughts, you actually can change your DNA. There's an epigenetic layer of the DNA that activates these quantum memories that you have, these really, really long-term memories. Now, scientists can show that it's 4 generations. I believe it's like lifetimes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I really believe that. So for me, I look at my personality traits and how they change, my characteristics, how they change, my obsessions and addictions, how they change. And that creates a frequency. And that frequency is your vibration. That's what makes people different, even on social media. I use the same strategy, you know, using mentors like you and Aubrey and Gary and all my friends. What I did was study all of you because you were in the game before me, and you each had your own frequency, but you were consistent with it. And you realize, okay, I'm sending the signal out to a specific spectrum. Now, the biggest spectrum are people that try to copycat. You know, TikTok has a very wide spectrum. So you don't care. I call it a lower vibration. It's like the Kardashian vibration. 87% of the people are Tiger King fans because they like to watch train wrecks, right?
Yeah.
Well, Gerard Adams and Aubrey Marcus and Dave Meltzer and Gary Vaynerchuk, we're not into the negative energy. We're not asking you to walk off a cliff. We're trying to inspire you to be better, expand. So you have a smaller spectrum. But the cool thing about social media, right, is small spectrum was, I was a kid, was your golf group, your card game, your church group. Right. Nowadays, small spectrum could be, you know, that lady that paints nails or opens gifts on the internet. She'll get, you know, 20 million people. That's a small spectrum compared to 4.2 billion. And everybody can make a major impact on this collective consciousness. And that's where I set my goal to impact 1,000 people like you, Gerard, to impact 1,000, to impact 1,000, 1,000 times 1,000 is a million. Million times 1,000 is a billion. If I could teach you how to teach other people to be happy using like gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration, my life will be set. I'll create this happiness collective energy.
Right. Wow. So powerful. Man, you just broke that down. Like, wow.
Years,
so
man.
Cool, man. So dope. I'm definitely gonna have to like rewatch all of that, but thank you so much for breaking that down. It's so powerful. I completely agree with you, especially in the sense of like, you know, for me, I have really been thinking about my ancestors. I've been really thinking about like where my roots are from, why, you know, what has been passed down to me, what has passed through me, what are the things that I have to heal that I didn't even know I needed to deal with, that roots from my great-great-grandfather, for instance. You know, I've also been thinking about it because my grandfather just passed away of 100 years old last year. And it was, you know, and I actually had an interview with him because, you know, which is unbelievable because I didn't always use social media. So, you know, I learned so much from him, and now I feel like I'm carrying forward a legacy, you know, and I have an opportunity like we all do on this live stream right now to kind of all of a sudden like really alter the entire lineage, right? Like where things are going. And I think that's where that consciousness is rising, where we're starting to heal things that are from our past lifetimes and ancestors. And we are the new ancestors. So if we start living that way, like I've started to live that way now, where it's like the content I'm creating, the reason I want to write a book, the reason why I want to create content, the reason why I want to lead is because ultimately I know that this is me living in my legacy right now. This is like something that I want my kids to be able to get access to this and be able to learn what I've had to learn by 35 years old, basically growing up and having those codes at an earlier age. So, I think that's so powerful. Dave, you know, your story also is unbelievable, bro. Like guys, if you haven't watched his interview on the London Real, wow, so powerful. Like your vulnerability, I really like connected to you on that. And, you know, we talked about the conscious, subconscious, unconscious competency. And you had mentioned that you had this unconscious competency to attract money and you were born with it. So, you know, how does someone, kind of how did that play a role in who you became? And then, talk a little bit about that moment where you actually started to build a new relationship with money and happiness in general, a new definition of success, pretty much.
Cool. Well, forgive me for taking a second because the story, I think to tell it right has to deal with a relationship with money and love and happiness combined. I grew up with a single mom, 6 kids, terrific mom, 2 jobs, packed my dinner in a paper bag, right? My siblings are extraordinary people, summa cum laude at the Ivy League schools, but I was born with this unconscious competency to make money. So when I also was born with the genetic, I believe that one of the things about happiness is certain people, just like they're great basketball players and are born with potential, I'm born with a happiness gene, right? Genetically, I'm just born, probably came out of my mom smiling, not crying. And so I have great potential for happiness, which allows me to share that with others. Well, the only time I wasn't happy as a child, even though we were poor, even though, we had struggles, only time I wasn't happy was when I catch my mom with financial stress. So at 5 years old, when my dad left, I equated money buys happiness because that's the only time I wasn't happy was I felt inferior because I didn't have a lot of money, and my mom would cry because the car broke. My whole life was dictated by that journey, and three things changed my relationship. Now, most people know I was a millionaire 9 months out of law school. I married my dream girl. All these things reinforce the fact that money buys love. Right out my mom's favorite child, because I bought her a house and a car 9 months out. That's my only reason I wanted to be rich, was to buy her a house and a car. At 30 years old was step number one to my journey about my relationship with money and happiness, which I think is very important for people to know, that there's a money faith and a spiritual faith.
Yes.
Right? Two different, right? I have money faith and spiritual faith now, but I had money faith early in my career. But at 30 years old, my father, who was a deadbeat dad, the 70s, he was wealthy, never paid child support. My humble mom never said a word to me. I used to tell her, why can't you be more like dad? Meanwhile, he was an overseller, back-end seller, manipulator, liar, and cheater. And he forgot my birthday when I was 10, and he told me he didn't believe in birthdays. That was his excuse. That's when it cemented the deal that I went from hero to zero in one day. Wow. When I was 30 years old, though, a great lesson about money happened. My dad sent me the first birthday gift in 20 years. He sent me a sport coat, and I was so excited. I couldn't believe that he was forgiving himself, that he was enlightened, me being the more humble and powerful guy at 30. And my dad sent me this jacket. I put it on. He tore out all the pockets and the lining. So I got really pissed, and I called him. I said, Dad, why are you still punishing me? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, you sent me a jacket I can't wear. He said, it's not for wearing. I said, what do you mean it's not for wearing? He said, it's for hanging in your closet to remind you you're just like me. And I went off. I'm like, I'm nothing like you, dude. You are a liar, a cheater, manipulator. Yeah. You're a back-end seller, overseller. I'm nothing like you. I'm David Meltzer. I'm my mom. Blah, blah. I just kept going. Right. And he said, just hang the closet. Hang the jacket in the closet. You're not going to be able to take anything with you when you're gone. That jacket's going to remind you, with no pockets, you'll be buried in there. You can't take anything. I'm so worried about you, son. I'm like, don't call me son. He goes, money does not buy love or happiness. You're going to learn this lesson. You're going to appreciate that jacket someday. Just leave it in your closet until you do. I hung up on him. At 36, I'm running the most notable sports agency in the world, a place called Lee Steinberg Sports Entertainment. That made the movie Jerry Maguire. And I literally lied. I go golfing with my best friend.
Yeah. And you built your dream home, which I thought was so cool, because that's like, I think that's all of our dreams, is to one day have that dream home, right? With an acre of land, you built it. Yeah. And I remember reading that story where you're like, you're in the dream home now. You got the wife, you got the, the CEO position, you have all these things. And then what was that moment where you just like,
that moment was when I first night in the household was the first moment, because I looked up and I'm like, I'm not happy. In my own subconscious, I'm like, what do I do now? I have motorhomes, cars, I had a golf course, a ski, I had everything. And then I go golf with my buddy, and he tells me, I go, why don't you hang out with me? Let's go to the Super Bowl together or something. He goes, Dave, I don't like who you hang out with or what you're doing. I'm like, come on, man. I'm not doing what those guys are doing. Come on, come with me. He goes, Dave, you could lie to me, but don't lie to yourself. I went home crying that day.
Wow.
2 weeks later is when my life changed, though. It is the best story that I have of change. 36 years old, 3 daughters, and living, like you said, in my dream house, dream job. Most people would die to have my job. And I come home 5:30 in the morning, drunk, high. I was with Little John the rapper. I'd lied to my wife, told her I was going to a business meeting. I went to the Grammy Award party, and came home. My wife's waiting there, and she told me she wasn't happy. She was going to leave me, or I'd be dead if I didn't change. And I told her to F off. I couldn't believe that she could not, be so ungrateful to me. I got a living nanny. I got cars. What are you talking about? I was swearing at her. I went to bed so mad. I woke up the next morning even more mad. And I was going to call my buddy from law school and ask who's the best lawyer to take all my money back. And literally, I was so lost. I'm 52 years old, so this is 16 years ago. And I still can't believe I thought this way. But I looked in my closet, and it was like that book that's on your shelf that you forget is there, and it's been there for 10 years, and it's calling you, Think and Grow Rich, read me, Napoleon Hill, read me. And you're like, I read that in college, and it's reading out this jacket. It was just shining in my closet at me, like yelling at me, you fool. And I started to cry. I still get choked up because I looked at that jacket. I'm like, I'm just like my dad.
Damn.
It was the first time I was a liar, a cheater, manipulator, overseller, and back-end seller. I had lived in a world of a victim, not enough. You know, I was always a victim. Everything happened to me. Then I moved to this world for me. And I thought I was a super generous person, but everything had strings attached. Everything I did had strings attached. And now here I was, lost and humbled with that jacket going, I am everything I hate. I know why I hate my father, because I hate myself. And that's when I started to take stock in who I was and what I want to become. I started living with gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. And 13 years later, you know, here I am making room for what I want by giving and being of service to others. I still believe I have money faith, man. I believe in making a lot of money. My biggest line right now is I got too many of my executive clients asking, I feel guilty, man. We're doing so well. I feel guilty. I'm making so much. I said, look, man, I will tell you this straight out of my heart. You cannot be poor enough to make somebody rich, but I promise you, you can be rich enough to make somebody rich. So if you really care about other people, then get really rich and make other people rich. Don't sit there and be poor and feel guilty about making money. There's two faiths in the world, and they both have green card, gold card, platinum card, and black card. The faith of money, and it's represented, and there's faith of spirituality, right? That you can trust the universe, tie up your camels pragmatically, but trust the universe and tie up your camels, and everything will be you rapidly and accurately.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that I love is, you know, because I went through that too. Even when I exited my company, I almost felt like I was guilty, or I felt like I couldn't really, and it caused me to rethink my purpose, because I was like, I was unhappy. I got the big check, and then I was like, you know, now what? Who am I? Who's Gerard? And what I realized now at this point in my life, as I've started to seek more purpose, as I've started to go down the spiritual path and build, because what I realized was that I was spiritually bankrupt. I had built up the 8 figures. I had built up, you know, the second 8-figure company. I've gotten awards. I'm on stage with Richard Branson and Gary Vee and all these amazing people around the world, top 100 most influential this and that by Business Insider. You know, just like you, right? You get the awards, you get all those things, but I realized I was spiritually bankrupt. And now you get to that point where you create that harmony where, like, you can have both, because sometimes you go too heavily on, like, you're going on that spiritual journey, and then you're like, I don't even care about money. Like, you know, it doesn't matter or anything. But there is a balance where you can be rich as fuck. You can create wealth in your life. You can have it all, right? You don't have to be, you know, rich, but like, you know, and not be a good person. You can be a great person and be rich and be spiritually aligned, right? And I think that's the concept where you can, like, truly have it all. So that's that's how I feel, man.
But you know, you have the discipline and you're willing to do the work, right? I used to talk, when I first got into spirituality, I was all into The Secret, and I ended up being in the new movie Beyond the Secret, thinking about this because everybody talked about the law of attraction. And then John Asseroff, who's like one of my mentors, he was in the original movie, right? John's like, I actually don't believe in the law of attraction anymore. I believe in the law of Goya. I'm like, what's the law of Goya? He said, law of get off your ass, right?
I'm Latin. I thought he said Goya. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. But the law, you gotta make it happen. There has to be a blend between that monetary faith and the spiritual faith. And you can't be bankrupt in either, because you're at a detriment or deficiency, and you can't help other people if you are in that deficient place. And so I came up with the motto, make a lot of money to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun, and teach people how to do all 4 of those.
That's amazing, bro. I love it. So talk to me about leadership. You know, that's one of my passion. I grew up with a father who put leadership notes all around my home. I mean, I would find him in my notebook at school. He would hide them all over the place, in pockets and things. And I was blessed. I was blessed to have a father that was truly there for me my whole life. I realize now how, you know, regardless of anything, like the fact that, and I know that that's what you are now, like a great father. That's my goal in life, is to be a great father, a great family man. And I owe so much to my dad, you know, and he you know, raised me to think about character, how to build my character, and, you know, integrity and certain principles to, like, build a leader. I want to know, like, for you, what's the difference between a good leader and a great leader? What makes a great leader?
one that doesn't have to tell people anything, right? A great leader, just their presence inspires you. They walk into a room and you feel elevated. And you know who these people are. And to be a good leader will you. Both types of leader, though, need to know the distinction between motivation and inspiration. I think this is where like Gary and I separate each other. Like, I think Gary is one of the greatest motivators. He will get you off your butt and going.
Yeah. Him and Eric Thomas.
Yeah,
whew.
E.T. Those guys. Like, I sit more in the inspiration side where, look, I'm sure a couple things I say might get your juices flowing, but I'm an inspiration. I get you there. It's a longer journey. Keep you inspired. It's something you can do every day for the rest of your life. I don't have to shock anyone. And so I think a great leader is one that elevates others to elevate themselves. His own present elevates the vibration and awareness of others. He's kind to his future self by continually doing good deeds. He's able to lead from behind and following people. The radical humility side. This is a great leader. There's plenty of good leaders out there that are helping people. But to truly lead, it takes gratitude, it takes forgiveness, it takes accountability, and it takes the complete understanding. I'm going to break this down for you like I did Conscious. So a great leader knows this. They're humbled by the power in which they're connected to, right? In my pinky, I have more power in my pinky alone to light up all of Manhattan. They can prove it scientifically. The kilowattage in my pinky is that great. That's how much energy we have in our human bodies. So I must be connected to an unbelievable source of energy. And what most people don't realize is not only am I connected to it, but let's say that energy source is the sun, because that's the greatest source of energy that pragmatically that we can know of. So the sun is my source of energy. I'm not only a solar panel, but I'm a solar battery that appreciates, meaning not only can I suck as much of the energy from the sun, but I actually can add value to it. And then my job is to clear the connection to get as much draw from the sun as I can, to appreciate it, add as much to that draw as I can, so that I can give it to everything I'm connected to. That is a great leader, one that can take away the interference and corrosion between the sun and them, and also take away the interference of the corrosion and interference that we have between us and everything else. The spectrum widens and widens. And we started the conversation in social media that, our powerful signal, our spectrum, and our clear message is what inspires others. And that will be the future great leader, is who holds the strength in their signal, the widest spectrum and the clearest message in order to elevate others.
Wow. I absolutely love it, bro. One of the things I really respect about you too, David, is I've been thinking about this concept of like a personal brand versus a leadership brand. And, because I feel that there's a difference between, when you're out there and you're leveraging social media and, you're able to, get the followers and the likes, and you become an influencer, maybe get some brand deals and stuff like that. And that's cool. I mean, I love the brands that support me. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Support us. But I think there's a difference between, when you're building a personal brand, which is great and it can help provide income, versus a leadership brand, which is what I see you have done, right? Where you're that kind of commitment every day to inspire. What has that process been like for you over these past? It seems like similar to me, you might have started over just the last 3, 4, 5 years, and really it's like anything, that consistency, that commitment, and also finding, I say, like, your philosophy is your voice. So how did you find your philosophy? How did you find your voice and a way to become a storyteller?
Yeah, so lessons and stories, exactly. And I think that's always something I help people with, is you got to know and look for the lessons that you're learning, and then be able to tell stories around those lessons. So 3 years and 4 months ago, I met Gary Vee at Super Bowl. They were starting their sports agency. I wanted to help them as a consultant. I was smart enough to ask Gary, hey, I've written a book, I'd like to share my message to inspire people to be happy on social media. Am I too old?
Yeah.
And he's like, it's not about age, Dave. He said, why do you want to do it? I said, well, because I want to empower over 1 billion people to be happy in my lifetime. He's also, what's your objective? I said, I'd like to start in year 1 and get 2 people that can get 2 people to get 2 people. And he said, really? That's interesting. He goes, how many followers? I said, I don't care. Like, following is nothing to me. I want to empower, not follow, right? I've seen evil people get tons of followers. I don't want followers. I want empowered people. I want people that if I'm not here, I live on forever, right? Forever. So he totally dug that. And I said, so how do I do it? He said, produce quality content consistently. I said, what? He said, just keep producing. He said, people will laugh at you, scoff at you, and make fun of you, but just keep doing it. And your signal will strengthen because you'll know your own voice. You'll start seeing what you truly believe. You'll articulate it to the right people, and your message will get clearer and clearer. You'll be able to explain things so people are like, wow, I've never heard the conscious explained that way. Well, because I practiced it for 3.5 years, right? And telling the story about a lesson that I knew before I wrote my book. I knew the lesson of the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. I've just never been able to describe it with the stories that I tell now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that segmentation is so important because most people quit like we started, right? They quit. And, you know, I just segmented out to 20 segments, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and it equaled 2 million. So I knew I was 50 years old.
It's like the compound effect.
Yeah, that's what life is. And that's the consistency of it. If I do it every day, then you're going to get X to the first on day 1, X to the second on day 2. And if you zero it out, it's X to the 0. That's 1. You start over. So you got to stay consistent every day. So people keep hearing it. You know, people don't just pick it up on the first time. You know, you'll get this. And I want this for everyone because this is one of the epiphanies that I got later on. It bugged me that I say the same things like in your IG that I will in somebody else's.
Right.
It bugs me like I'm being fake.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I start realizing over these years that not only have the, you know, there's 4.2 billion people. Most people in the world don't know who Gerard or David are, but most people haven't heard our story yet. Right. And then even beyond, if they've heard it, they don't remember it because it takes so many times to remember. Because we're, you know, it's so amazing. So it's so hard though to get over that first at least year of people like, dude, what are you doing? Like I went to the Super Bowl year.
Oh, I can imagine. What about your family too? Like, you know, your daughters, you have 3 daughters. Like now all of a sudden, you know, dad's blogging and podcasting and everything. You know, that must have been cool.
It's cool, but man, I remember going to the Super Bowl year 1 after doing it 12 months and people making fun of me going, hey, where are you speaking?
Yeah.
Where are you speaking here? The bathroom? Dave, who do you think you are? Tony Robbins. And then when I'm
I
stage,
guess to get that. Yeah.
Right? When I'm on stage with Tony Robbins now, or, you know, leading off the COVID thing that's coming up in May, like all the big things I get to do, they're applauding me now. All the people that laughed at me, scoffed at me, they're like, oh, I knew you could do it, man. You've always been an impact on my life. And I'm like, dude, where were you 3 years ago when you were laughing at me, making fun of me behind my back? Right? But that's why I'm inspired by it. I tell people, you got to vote for what you want. Every time I don't vote for what I want, I get into trouble because I end up getting what other people want for me and then resenting them for it.
Wow. I love it. I'm going to start taking some questions. In the meantime, David, if you what's like one of your core business principles? I know you're an investor, and I just want to also say, honestly, I'm so grateful for who you are because you know, I hit you up not too long ago and asked you to take a call with my cousin Bailey for her app Rant. It's a sports app that she's been building. She's been working tirelessly during the quarantine, and you were there to, you know, offer her some support, and I really appreciate that. And you, like me, you know, you have a passion for supporting young entrepreneurs, and I really appreciate that because I was that 18-year-old, you know, that had a dream, and it was hard to sometimes get someone to be able to just give you some advice and to support you. So thank you for doing that. And if you have a business principle, I'd love to know, like, what is maybe one or 2 business principles that you live by that you think every entrepreneur should inherit?
Yeah, I got 5 real quick ones. So get a pen and a pad and then go back and listen to this. This is Dave Meltzer's secret sauce. Ready? Know your values. Take inventory of your values every day. Personal, experiential, giving, and receiving. Ask and attract. Ask a series of questions every day to as many people as you can, in person, on the phone, via email, social media, radio, print, TV. Ask how you can be of service and of value. And 2, ask how they can help you. I repeat, ask how people can help you. Ask. 3, be a student of your calendar. Studying means pay attention to, give intention to the coincidences that you want. 3 things in your calendar to pay attention and intention to. 1, the things you have planned. 2, the things you don't have planned, the white space or empty space. And 3, sleep. Do it with the lens of productivity, of how much value you're going to provide, accessibility of who you're accessible to and how you're accessing what you want, and 3, gratitude. 4, easiest one to pick up on, number 4, secret sauce of entrepreneurship, do it now. 100% of things you do now get done. You will save a minimum of half as much time as you're going to spend and be more statistically successful. If you can't do it now, make a list, categorize it or prioritize it by what's most important first, and put it in your calendar to be a student of your calendar for tomorrow. Finally, practice ending fear. Number 1, identify what you're afraid of. 2, learn to stop, drop, and roll when you identify what you're afraid of. Realize that it's a practice, one that you'll utilize till you're 100 and whatever, until you die. Practice ending fear. Get the interference and corrosion away from the sun. Allow all that energy to come through you for others. Those are the Magic Meltzer 5.
Woo! You guys are going to have to re-listen to this. All right, Dave, we got a question here from Jonah. We'll start with this. We'll take maybe just 2 or 3 of these. But first is just, what are you most grateful for today, David?
Always my health. Always. I learned 2.5 years ago to put my health and myself first. I put my health and myself first because I can't give what I don't have. If I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be able to do my main goal, which is take care of others. So I always put a minimum of an hour a day on my health every single day, and my gratitude for having such wonderful health.
I love that. Yeah, especially right now, it's really come to fruition where we realized how important that really is. Just energy, right? You know, I'm constantly thinking about what fuels my energy, what depletes my energy. You know, just my concept of time has changed. And I love that post you did recently, even just the way that you looked at someone who's busy versus someone who's productive, and you showed how they manage their time. And I thought that was so powerful. So I think between like really looking at how you're taking care of your own mind, body, and spirit, and making time blocking for that, you know, what you're putting in your body, how you're getting out in nature, how you're taking time to read, taking time to learn, taking time to appreciate others, but then also like how throughout your entire day, you're actually planning out and being intentional with where you're spending your time and energy. That was really powerful. Love that post you did.
And happiness is the best virus, right? It's shared by witnessing it, and it strengthens your immune system. So if you like your health, be happy.
So Lewis asked, what's been the biggest challenge you've overcome, and how did you overcome it?
Well, my biggest challenge still is my ego, and I haven't overcome it, but I've gotten better. My ego, by far, it creates so many voids, obstacles, and shortages in my life. It creates so many problems in my life. It accelerates me into the wrong direction, away from where I'm supposed to going. So the way that I am trying to overcome it is practicing knowing when I'm in the ego-based consciousness, and then breathing, stopping, asking myself, why do I feel this way? And then breathing. I call it the 6 breaths of the ferocious Buddha. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm a ferocious Buddha. That means I have like unbelievable will to must be what I can be. But I'm a Buddhist when it gets off course and I need to correct course. And so be a ferocious Buddha, overcome your ego.
I absolutely love that. Yeah, that's something that's they're always working on, right? It's like ego, everyone got one, and and it's always with us, but like it doesn't always have to be the enemy either. I know that book, Ego is the Enemy, but I have a video coming out. I've talked about this, but like you can actually change that, and ego can be on your side and can really help to like build you up, and it doesn't have to always be this negative thing as well that's in your life.
Yeah, so, it can motivate you.
Last question here is, what do you think of best new industries post-coronavirus? What should someone be thinking about?
Let me give you better advice than just picking one for you. Let me tell you how to find what's best for you.
Yeah.
So look at your capabilities and go ahead and see which capabilities you have, or you can ask for help with it to broker, agent, channel partner, do whatever, syndicate, whatever you want to do with it. 3 different areas. So I'm taking inventory of my capabilities. Every day I'm looking at the top 50 stocks, the best performing stocks. And I'm looking at the industries and the companies that exist in those performing stocks and telling myself, where do I have synergies and synergistic capabilities as an agent, a broker, a partner, a salesperson, wherever I can make money from what's happening right now. And the force of the universe in our economic system gives it to you every day, right in the stock market. 2, 50 most stable stocks. I want to create some stability. So I look to see what capabilities I have with stocks and companies and industries that haven't moved in the last 6 months, because I know they probably aren't going to move in the next 6 months. So I want to know what capabilities the agent, broker, channel partner, et cetera, with that. And then finally, best new industries. I'm looking to see which companies are the worst 50 stocks, meaning the ones that have been beat up the worst, because that usually means they've been oversold. That means there's been emotions that are attached to it. And I look to see what capabilities I have that are synergistic to those companies. Like, look at gambling, for example. Gambling is one of the oldest professions. It's always a super profitable, because statistically gambling works, and people love to do it. Well, in America, 20 states have approved sports gambling in the last 18 months before the COVID. Well, if you don't think when this thing stabilizes that people are going to be able and are going to stop gambling, especially considering like we're dying for any sports. So think why gambling has gone down. There's no casinos open. There's no sports to bet on, right? They're literally, people are dying, and it's also an addictive. It's like drinking coffee, right? It's like Starbucks on steroids, gambling. So I mean, I'm looking at these stocks in the casino area, and I'm looking to see who does a lot of sports betting, and like who's just emotionally just got sold out and is discounted 90%. That's where the margins of millionaires are, everybody. And if you don't have money, then go find somebody with money and figure out how you can syndicate, broker, agent, whatever. There's all these capitalistic vehicles that we built here in America that you should be blessed to utilize, that you don't have to be a millionaire to be a millionaire. You can be completely broke and be able to create the right relationships and be innovative and entrepreneurial and take advantage of opportunities the same as if you had $1 million.
Yeah, I fucking love that. You have built such powerful relationships too throughout your life. And I think that's been one of my like secret weapons, is really truly building authentic relationships throughout my entire life. What are some ways that if that people can go out there and actually be able to build those kind of powerful relationships and get people to want to do business with them, especially when you're like maybe just getting started out. You don't have that blue check mark, you don't have the accolades just yet, you don't have anything, but you want to go out there. And I know a lot of people that want to find that mentor, get that business coach, or find that business partner, or be able to get that investor.
Yeah, give of yourself, right? Volunteer, intern, ask for help. All of these are great ways to find help and mentorship and be involved. I know so many people. See Casey Adams there. What's up, my young man?
Yo, Casey.
I love Casey, man.
Yeah, me too,
Anyway,
man.
Speaking of guys who ask, right? Casey's just building his brand at 19 years old because he's out there, he's volunteering, he's being of service. If anybody's depressed, anxious, the only thing besides asking for help from a professional, which I'm not, I know by volunteering creates opportunities and a void for the universe to fill. So I tell you, be strategic about your giving. So like I'm still very strategic philanthropically. Like if I want to go meet, these big casino guys to figure out how I can make money in the casino space when it recovers, I'm looking at the MGM, like the big galas where, Sheldon Adelson, Steve Wynn, like all these, super dudes are there, and I'll go volunteer or donate or pay to be at the table or do whatever I can. And I'm there not like everybody else, right? I'm there being of service. And then I ask for help. I'm like, hey, Mr. Wynn, can I get your cell phone number? I'd love you to mentor me, be available for a couple minutes to answer some questions about my relationship to money, or I'm looking at investing into the casinos. I'd love your insight. If I'm going to spend my life savings on something, would you mind telling me if it's oversold? No, yeah, of course. People don't ask. You don't, Spencer Glenn, an old football player, friend of mine, he always say, Dave, you don't get unless you ask. That's for sure. So go out there, volunteer, use different ways to create a spheres of influence, but you got to ask for help or you're not going to get.
Yeah, I love it, bro. I love it. Last question would be just, what is creating wealth? Like, what are some tips? And or maybe talk a little bit about, you're talking about stocks, but are you diversifying income streams in startups, stocks, real estate? Like, where do you invest your money, and any tips for someone that can start to create that generational wealth?
Yeah, I actually partnered with Marshall Falk to mentor people on this, because that financial literacy about where you have your focus and attention. So I tell people, look, take 10% of your money and make it a lottery ticket, right? And then take 10% of your money and put it into guaranteed annuities. Guaranteed you know, and as you get older, you can make it more and more into the conservative stuff. But if you live your life with 20% of your money gone, no matter how much you make, I don't care if you make literally 10,000 a week, you know, I mean, 10,000 a year, you should live your life. Because let's be honest, if you're making 10 grand, making 8 grand doesn't change it that much. I know people say it does,
Right.
but you're pretty hurting. But if you're making 100 grand, 80 grand doesn't make a difference. You should be taking 10 grand, putting it into guaranteed annuities and 10 grand on lottery tickets, right? And when you're young. Now, always remember, when I give you investment advice, it's under the auspice that look at your own time and your own risk tolerance, right? This is for me, my timing and risk tolerance. If I was young again, if I would have just used my time and said, I'm going to have no emotions tied to my money investments, but 10% is going to go into real estate and stock and, you know, lottery tickets like that I don't have any security on. But 10% of everything I make is the Dave Meltzer tiding. It's going to go into a guaranteed annuity. If the markets go down, I make 2% on what I've invested in. The markets go up, I get 60 or 70% of the upside. Those are the type of guaranteed investments that I make. Those are the ones that Marshall Falk has shown me, believe it or not, through like just plain annuities and IULs, basic stuff. But I'm still, for me, I like, you know, the gambling, the fun. But the one thing I don't want to do again is how I lost everything. I don't want me to pay attention to all that, where that's my job all of a sudden, managing properties, looking at the stock market 18 times a day, instead of keeping my eyes on doubling the amount of money I can as fast as I can. I've put all my focus and on making money, and I have a direct downstream. I know where the 10% goes, and I know where the other 10% goes, so I don't waste any time, emotion. When the stock market crashed, I didn't even know until a friend said I lost 400 grand a day, because I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference. If the market crashes, I get 2% this year, right? But I still got all my money. And you're talking about, see, for those people that don't know me, I'm someone who on paper has lost over $100 million in 2008. So I know about putting my attention on the wrong things.
Wow. So powerful, bro. I can't wait to vibe with you some more, continue to build this relationship, Dave. One of the things I want to ask you is, bro, is how can I be more of service to you? What is something that you're working on? What is something you're passionate about? It could be philanthropy, book, you know, how can I support you and what you're doing?
If you could promote as much as you can my free trainings, like that's my new, I've been doing it over 20 years. I've been training people mostly in my office. Guys like you come visit, they'll hang out for Friday training. I buy lunch for everyone. And it got bigger and bigger. But because of this, I put it online, never thinking to do this before because of Zoom, right? And we get thousands of people. It's always free. People are surprised. I'm not going to sell you anything at the end. It's not like at the end, I'm going to sit there and go, oh, buy my book. I will give you my goddamn book for free. People know that about me. I will pay for shipping. I will send it to you. I don't care. I want to create a collective consciousness. So a powerful influencer like you that's going to grow and grow. It's always Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Anybody can reach out to my email, david@dmeltzer.com, or my text, 949-298-2905. So as much as you can promote people to come to my free training, that's all I ask.
What is the training? What is the what is the purpose of it?
Yeah, Road to Revenue right now. The topics change every week. I also take input. Cool. I get a big poll. People tell me what they want to know. This week is cool. Last week was 5 to Thrive selling system. This week is ego, edging goodness out of your life, edging gold out of your life. I'm going to go through some real deep, and I do Q&A. So I'll do Q&A, and it's 1 hour. We land right at noon Pacific time every time on the dot. And it's free. I promise you won't be sold anything.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I will definitely put that out to our Leaders Create Leaders community, everybody who's in our community. I appreciate your time, bro. Thank you so much. I look forward to continuing to build a friendship with you. And thank you so much for your leadership, bro. Thank you so much. The world needs this. You know, we have over 100 people here that got value from this and got inspired. So continue to keep inspiring, bro, and enjoy the rest of your day. God bless.
You too. Come visit me on mine anytime, all right?
You got it, bro.
Thanks, Gerard. Have a great week.
You too, homie.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining again every day. We have a powerful leader that we bring on live. We purpose these into the Leaders Create Leaders podcast. Make sure to go follow Dave. Make sure to go just let him know how valuable this was. I really appreciate it. Also, let me know. Go comment on my last picture. Let me know what a takeaway was. Let me know that this was valuable to you so I can continue to keep showing up for you guys powerfully. And if there's anyone that you want me to bring on to Leaders Create Leaders onto the podcast, please let me know and just comment it and send me a message. Thank you guys so much. You know, it's so exciting. This was super, super powerful. Definitely take some time to go back, you know, rewatch it, share this with your friends. And guys, I hope you're having an amazing, amazing week. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Please check out Dave's this week, 11 a.m. He has that free training, edging is on ego. So, you know, definitely check that out. So I love you guys. I'm going to hop off and get back to work, but peace out.